Look
at that.
He's trying his best.
The first, the last, the Nerdom cheer. Mike and Tom slaying every year. Is Die Hard Christmas or just a fight? We'll debate it all tonight. Jingle bells and action scenes. Santa hats or movie queens. Do we deck the halls or roll our eyes? Is it festive or just a disguise? Reindeer running
Welcome back to the First, the Last, the Nerdom, the podcast where we explore the first, the last, and everything in between across the strange and wonderful world of cinema. This week, we're continuing our themed month that dares to ask the most important question of the season, Christmas movie, where we take films that live on the fringe of holiday tradition and decide whether they truly belong under the Christmas tree or somewhere far stranger. And this time we're stepping into the snowy, pastel-colored suburbs of Tim Burton's 1990 gothic fantasy classic, Edward Scissorhands. On the surface, it's a fairy tale about an unfinished artificial man with scissors for hands. But underneath the topiary, the candy-colored houses, and the unforgettable Danny Elfman score, this film is soaked in Christmas imagery, snow falling, lights glowing, generosity clashing with cruelty, and the quiet sadness that can settle in during the holidays. It's a story about kindness, otherness, and what happens when someone who doesn't quite fit in is brought into a world that claims to be welcoming until it isn't. We'll be taking and talking about whether Edward Scissorhands earns its place as a Christmas movie, how Burton blends whimsy with melancholy, and why this film continues to hit hard every time you revisit it, especially during the holidays. So grab a mug of something warm, watch the snowfall, and try not to run with scissors. And this is the First, the Last, the Nerdom, and this week on Christmas movie ? We're opening the gates to the castle and welcoming Edward Scissorhands. And I'm Tom. I'm right here with ML. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Christmas. How's it going? Oh, I can't hear you, man. You're on mute, I think.
Yep, there we go. Sorry. I'm doing good. Thank you for the thing. Happy Merry Christmas to you as well. Yeah, it is. Today is the first time Hanukkah, so that is cool. Maybe one day we'll do Hanukkah movies or something. That there might be something not as big of a library to pick from. Anyway, who are we and what the hell are these guys? What the hell are they doing here? We are the First, the Last, the Nerdom, or shorthand, FirstLastNerdom.com. This is our website where you can find our thing. I am currently updating it so that it shows it shows 21 of our latest publications on YouTube. You can see that. You can see me and Tom there. I'm going to keep the look and the feel of it. I'm working on the blog part, but it's kind of a pain in the butt and it doesn't work. So I'm just happy I didn't tank our website that I spent probably about 3.5 years promising the audience before I got to it. I mean, Tom knows that I tried goofy iterations in the background and tried it, and they didn't work. But anyway, also on YouTube, our home base, aside from our website, is First Last Nerdom on YouTube. That's where you'll find all our latest and greatest. We had quite. I just want to pause here for a second while we're doing the plug-in and paying the bills. We had quite a little bit of a reaction to our last video, our binge-worthy, where we covered two very good shows, two very funny shows. We had probably the most comments that we had in a very long time. So I just want to say, even if you have a critique or you don't like something or you don't like the way my face looks, you can tell me that. That's okay. I'm just kidding. I was happy to see this like 540 that popped up. What are your thoughts, Tom? I know you saw it first before. I think you're a little bit better than I am at checking the numbers and checking in on the audience.
Yeah, did quite well. Happy with that. Yeah, and seems to be pretty positive. They like us. They just don't like our AI slop. So
Yes, yeah, they don't like the short little micro video that I like to put just before the thing. If I get it, anyway, we'll see what that looks like or whatever. I don't know. It's 5 seconds. So but we'll if we hear more of it, we get it. We get it, and we welcome the feedback. But anyway, going back to business here. I was gonna say, I'll pop over into your socials, and I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah. I promoter stuff on Reddit under FirstLastNerdom, and so if you're coming over from there, hello. But yeah, most of the Reddit subreddits don't care for me. They say it's self promotion or lazy posting. I don't know. So it gets deleted. So oh well. But if you want to see me consistently on the social media sites, I'm also on X under FirstLastNerdom too, and I'll promote our stuff anytime we have a fresh new video out. I'll post or repost something that you did. And speaking of which, you have your own X as well.
Yes, sir. I rebranded, so to speak. Came out of the closed thing and came back into public Twitter or public X, whatever we're calling it, at @SofaKingJewish _. You can find me there, and you can find Tom trying to get a little bit of a conversation going. There's some things that are on deck here that I did not see. I think I tweeted this to you before, but the Lantern's one of many things that we might cover in another show. Maybe this week, we'll see. Probably not. But anyway, that's our social medias. That's where I am. And you can always find me and Tom at home base here. And if I could, for some reason, my brain stopped working there. There we go. All right, cool. All right. But anyway, Edward Scissorhands, which can arguably be called a modern fairy tale, a la Tim Burton style. Very unique, very impactful. Is this a Christmas movie? I don't know, but we might answer that question at the end of this show. We'll see. Stay tuned if you. Yeah,
we didn't actually answer it last week when we covered Day of the Beast. We left it hanging there.
I kind of. But when we do that, though, I kind of feel like we already are saying to the audience without saying it that yes, this is. You should consider it. I mean, the audience ultimately decides what they want to watch, but.
Yep.
Excuse me. Good grief. Wait. So, okay, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say the cool thing with the movie like Day of the Beast is that's not as widely known as, say, Edward Scissorhands. And so
sure.
Those that are adventurous or trust us will get exposed to something new. So, yeah, that's always interesting mix when we try to cover something, I'd rather not cover something that's been covered to death already, and I try to find something new to say or say it in my own particular way. So with a movie like Edward Scissorhands, everybody seems to have an opinion about it. So, so hopefully we'll bring something a little bit new. Maybe you hadn't thought of some of the thoughts we've had. I with this movie, I think it really kind of brought into fruition what I wanted from a Tim Burton movie. Beetlejuice was fun, but it kind of left me cold. And obviously his Batman was an interesting take on Batman. Not maybe the one that I don't know. It is an interesting take. Although the Batman Returns, he did that after Edward Scissorhands. That's maybe more my steam as far as Batman. But yeah, this is the first time I watched a Tim Burton movie. I saw this in the theater, and I said, okay, this is what Tim Burton can do. And it really kind of brought together everything I wanted and hoped for in a Tim Burton movie. By this point, I was a fan. So, but yeah, this is the one that really won me over. And whenever, earlier in the year, I was watching the second season of Wednesday, and I was thinking, well, I don't have any HD copies of Tim Burton movies, and the ones that I immediately thought I needed to add to my collection was Edward Scissorhands and Sleepy Hollow, and I picked them up, and I realized that Edward Scissorhands is a 20th Century Fox movie, which I thought might have been a Warner Brothers, but Warner Brothers actually passed on this movie and sold it to 20th Century Fox, which we now know is owned by Disney. So, and we know how fun they are with physical media. So I was kind of surprised they did have a fairly cheap Blu-ray anniversary edition Blu-ray of it, and I go, well, they're not going to put out a 4K of this, obviously. So right. I picked up the Blu-ray, and then like a month or two after I got it, they came out with a limited 4K steelbook, which actually I probably dodged a bullet because I got this for like $8, which is I think a pretty good deal. And then the 4K came out, and I watched one of the guys that I watch do a review of the 4K, and he says that the picture quality isn't much better than this. So and there's no new extras on it, and the only extras on this is there's 2 commentary tracks, one by Tim Burton, one by Danny Elfman, and then there's like a 4-minute featurette. Which, okay. You know, I did listen to the Tim Burton one. I didn't want to listen to the Danny Elfman. Danny Elfman's a great, musician. I think his score for Edward Scissorhands is probably my favorite of his, and probably his best score overall. But I just really didn't. I don't know, and I didn't think he would add too much for audio commentary, and again, I was kind of pressed on time, so that I may eventually go back. But I think if you go with the Blu-ray, you're probably going to be just as good, unless you really, because that 4K steelbook's like $45, which is kind of outrageous, but they charge that for steelbooks now. Yeah, people will pay it.
Not bad, but it is a little bit more of a speed bump than just like a $20 and go, just be done and order it and $45 a little bit more.
Especially when you could get this for like $8-9 and you're getting pretty much the same thing, except maybe the HDR is added. Right. With the 4K, right. A little bit crisper image. But yeah, the Blu-ray actually is really good quality. Really brings out all the colors. That's one thing about this movie is it's a beautiful looking movie. They filmed it in Florida, and they went through and they kind of rented out a whole little neighborhood in Florida and repainted all the buildings to those wonderful pastel colors. Which they had to go back and repaint them once they left, but
Oh yeah, well, I'm glad. As long as you're not the one painting them, right? Well, I was going to go back there and comment there. You have this. I saw this in home video years later, but this. I still can have an opinion on what I like and whatnot. But anyway, the thing about Tim Burton is I think this and maybe it's not the most technically out there or the technically ambitious kind of film. It's not as highest grossing, but to echo what you were saying, this is where you can really see his view, his vision of what it looks like to him for this, and it's a very unique story, that tells the tale of that is still relevant to this day and age. Where you have this. Anyway, I'll going back to it. I just wanted to touch on that. Somehow, somebody like Tim Burton is able to not only survive, but thrive in a Hollywood where they just want commercial machinery, like money printing machines, 24/7. Like, whereas you can tell, like people like Tim Burton that came up had a harder time. They didn't have it as easy as when they're successful. Everybody says yes. James Cameron could say, I'm going to make a 5-hour movie on bread, and they would be like, okay. What do you want to do? Like, where do you want to do it at? Where do you want the money deposited to?
Yeah, and this was coming off his success with Batman, so he could pretty much do anything at that point. They were, from what I understood, pretty hands off on the studio was on this movie. They let him do what he wanted. He thought maybe they would kind of try to get him to do a more happier ending. But he was really set on doing sort of the bittersweet ending that was there. And he said that the studio seemed to understand that and understand what this movie was and kind of left it alone and didn't, try to convince him otherwise, which I think is to the benefit of the movie, that it tells a pretty personal story. They shot it in Florida, but yeah, yep, that it was Tim Burton grew up in California in Burbank, and so they thought about filming it in Burbank, but the Burbank that was there at that time in 1990 didn't really reflect what his suburban kind of hellscape looked like back then, which he wasn't all that into the suburbia. That he kind of stuck out. He was sort of like the oddball, which is Edward Scissorhands is sort of his insert into this world. So this is sort of like an ode to anyone that's kind of ever felt a little bit like a nerd or kind of on the outside. Or I've read a lot about how this movie is sort of kind of touches in on the autistic side of things, where I guess how autistic people look at the world. That this movie is a pretty good representation of that. But anytime, if you've ever felt kind of like an outsider, this movie will definitely kind of tap into those feelings. And yeah, it's it was a lot of it's kind of based on, it's written by Tim Burton. He did get a Caroline Thompson to actually write out the script, took his idea and sort of fleshed it out into a script. This is her first actual script. He actually got her from a novel that she wrote. I think it was called Firstborn. And from the book, he realized that she seemed to have the similar sensibility and outlook on the world. So he thought that she would be the perfect fit for that. So this was her first script, and I think she did a pretty good job.
I'd say so too. I was going to go back to and say it came out. It was released on December 14th, 1990. And here we are, December 15th, 35 years and a day later. And not only was it's just very unique that you would only ever be able to get from somebody like a Tim Burton in his unique way, because Edward Scissorhands, it came at a pretty good time in history for what it was. And it defies categorization, like, what is it, this or is it that? We're being playful when you say Christmas movie or something like that too, but it's just as much, you mentioned that the personal story that's at the heart of it's very personal. It could be simultaneously romantic fantasy, it could be gothic horror, adjacent, gothic adjacent fairy tale, a dark fairy tale, I guess you could call it. And a tragedy. It truly is unique. And this, I think you also and I say that going back to like that, not only did you have Batman that Burton was coming off of a big success from, but you also had Beetlejuice too. That was the one before in 88 and then 89. And then, you had, a Ghost. Oh, in the same year. Yeah. Ghost, which was, a little bit, it's completely different kind of romantic kind of thing. And of course, The Princess Bride, so you had some really, really stellar, different, genre bending films that were out in this period of time. This is why I was trying to make the point earlier. I just didn't do a very good job of it. Anyway, going in on it, I don't know where did you want to this? You're right. It is. This is about if you're othered, and you pulled it out perfectly in the intro too, my friend. So authenticity is hard to find.
No, I think it's the character Edward Scissorhands is dates back to Tim Burton's teenage years. He was an artist, and he drew an image of this tall, thin guy with it wasn't scissor hands at that point. They were just sharp instruments like knives and whatnot. But yeah, he said that he would draw these things that sort of he would just obsess over, and those that had legs that kind of stuck with him ended up kind of developing into stories, and so this was one of the oldest stories he had with this character. And I think it's obviously it's kind of informed by the movies that he grew up with. I think we grew up with the monster movies. I've just been going through and rewatching all the classic Universal monster movies, and this has a lot of the same DNA as Frankenstein, obviously. And at that time, he would have been growing up in the 60s and 70s, so you had those Hammer horror movies with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing and Vincent Price, who's in this movie as the doomed inventor. His final role. Just absolute gentleman. I haven't read a bad thing about Vincent Price. So, but yeah, little bittersweet that this was to be his last movie. And actually, his character was going to have more to do in it, but with his failing health, they kind of had to cut it down to just a small role. His highest paid role, I think it was the same as The House of Ushers, which is $50,000. You would think it being a big Hollywood movie that he would have gotten paid much bigger than that. But yeah, that was I read that and I was like, oh wow, 50,000. That's interesting. Crazy. Yeah, for him to be such a living legend, or at that time, that yeah, he would have. You would think he would have garnered bigger thing. And this is the first collaboration between Johnny Depp and Tim Burton, which they've been able to go on to make some even bigger collaborations with one of my favorites of theirs is Ed Wood. That movie just hits right with me, and it's got one of my favorite characters, Bela Lugosi, in it. But yeah, that was maybe not as flashy as other Tim Burton movies, but that definitely has a place in my heart, along with Edward Scissorhands. Those two are kind of like I think peak pinnacle Tim Burton. Tim Burton, I think his he started kind of losing me when I think it started with Planet of the Apes, and there's it kind of dips back into brilliance. But I think he was hitting on all cylinders with Edward Scissorhands. When you think of Tim Burton, you do think of horror, but he hasn't really done that many horror movies. He kind of takes that trope and kind of twists it and looks at it in a different angle.
Yeah, well, he's very good at excelling at telling very personalized kind of stories with singular characters, and the kind of the world around them. The level of tragedy kind of varies, I guess, but that's kind of the tragedy though of this character. He wants to fit in. He desperately wants to be normal. But
yeah, there's a recurring trope of them going, I've got a doctor that may be able to help you, and he's like, oh really? Yeah, okay.
Right. Yeah, well,
he's all open for that.
Well, it's his first few times being in the flesh, so to speak, of like learning that there are people say things that they don't really mean.
Right. Exactly.
They're saying something to this, to that. You boo-boo your knee or something. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh my God, that looked like it hurt. You have this kind of this thing that is an extra layer of that conformist metadata. Yeah, that kind of the mob, the very strange and bizarre world. the when you mentioned the neighborhood and how they obviously made it very stylized for a certain look. That it's wrapped it around thoroughly, and you can't help but feel, I mean, sympathy for him. Like, and yeah, he has these scissor hands that can destroy, but they can also create, which we also find out very quickly too. You know, like we see the accidents, and the other thing too. Tim Burton tells very human stories. Yet, despite the fact that like the more weird looking this creature, this presence is, it you still can you still kind of at the end of the day, kind of inside out. I'm not ruining it. This isn't really a spoiler, but it kind of turns the world inside out and realizes that like it's reverse horror from the standpoint of like. Edward isn't the monster; it's the people around him that are the that are the monsters, and they take their turn for sure. Anyway, a lot of people
absolutely, yeah. They like I said, they don't always say what they really are thinking. Like there's a scene. They have a big barbecue instigated by the neighbors to introduce. Edward to the people, and there's this older gentleman there relating to Edward, saying he's got a bum leg, and that don't let them say that you're that you're not human, and then then later when the tides have turned and the public sentiment has kind of gone bad. He's out there on his lawn chair in front of the garage, saying, "Have they got that cripple yet?" right. Yeah, he's ready for his pitchfork. But yeah, there's very astute observation. There's a lot of visual observations in this movie about a neighborhood that's a little bit too busybody. As I was watching it, I was thought, is this sort of a kind of a snapshot of something that doesn't exist anymore? Because it's like the housewives are there and they're busy gossiping in and amongst themselves. They all they have is cleaning and keeping after the home, and then also seeing what the neighbors are doing, and then you have the exodus by the husbands leaving for work and then coming back at the end of the day to find out what all's been happening in the neighborhood. It's just sort of a slice of time that I don't know if we really have that anymore. And did we ever really have that? There was sort of like this image of that that may not be true. But yeah, he's really good with playing those tropes, and then having the absurdity of things, like you have this nice little picturesque suburban neighborhood, and then you have this mansion on the hill, this creepy mansion, just out of you can see it from your house.
Well, and how phenomenal was Johnny Depp playing Edward Scissorhands? I mean, he, and not only that, but you also had opposite of Winona Ryder and Dianne
Wiest,
well. Wiest,
yeah. She's sort of like the classic mom, like her and Dee Wallace. Those are when I think of moms of the 80s or 90s.
The classic, like mom. Wait, get up for breakfast. The mom that you envision. Well, and also kind of speaking on Johnny Depp too. This is before he was a household name. Right, he was an unknown relatively.
Well, he was a household name because of 21 Jump Street, but he wasn't he wasn't a movie star yet. This is
well, I mean, like up there, like a Tom Hanks or like a Tom Cruise at this point in his career, but who I believe that the Tom Cruise wanted the part. I think anyway, but
he did talk to Tim Burton about it, and I was reading some of the things that Tim Burton said. He said Tom Cruise had an interesting energy about him, and that he was obsessed with asking questions. Like he was asking, well, how does he go to the bathroom? And, he was obsessed on the technical details, which if you're obsessed with that, you may not understand the character or the movie. So it might have been best that he didn't do that. And Johnny Depp was actually very uniquely set up for this because he worked with another actor that's very has had to deal with medals for hands. His first movie was Nightmare on Elm Street. If you remember, Johnny Depp was in that, and so when he realized that he would be having scissors for hands shooting this movie, he called up Robert Englund and said, "Hey, any advice for dealing with metal on your hands?" And all Robert would say is, "Peace sitting down." That was his advice. So that was fun. But Gary Oldman turned down the movie because he couldn't figure out what it was, and then much to his regret afterwards, once he saw the movie and realized what they were going for, he realized that it would have been great for him. But yeah, I think Gary Oldman would have brought a different energy to it. I think Johnny Depp brings that. There's the innocence about his performance here, which he studied Charlie Chaplin, which I think adds the right amount of physical humor and sort of understanding to the character. There's at no, even though he has these threatening knives for hands, scissors hands, you never really feel threatened by him. He's got this innocent charm about him, even when he gets angry and starts to do some things. You're still with him. You're not. You realize who the monsters are in this, and really, there's not really any monsters. They're just people being people.
Well, the initial image that you see of Edward's face, the scarring, the pale complexion, the black clothing, all of that signals danger.
Yeah,
and the way that initially you kind of dwell on it too, but as you get to know him, then those feelings change. Whereas you can see the town around him, the mob form essentially over time, and kind of he works himself into a box. Not his fault. I mean, but it just the whole town, everything is bright and whatever, and then you have this weird figure that sticks out like a sore thumb. It makes him even more stand out even more, So like when he puts on like a normal clothing, or like this smock or whatever he's wearing, this jacket or whatever, like when he's working, it just looks bizarre. but you grow to love it very quickly anyway. Especially opposite of the people that become the monster. I'll put that way.
Another star of this movie is the music by Tom Jones. Featured fairly heavy in this movie. I was never really a big Tom Jones fan, but that music just fits this movie. Also, it was going to be he flirted with the idea of doing it as a musical, and that would have been interesting. He didn't actually do a musical until Nightmare Before Christmas, and then the Corpse Bride. But yeah, this could have been a musical if he had been able to figure out how to do it. But I think this works better the way it is. There is a real heavy musical influence on this. Like I said, Danny Elfman's score at points kind of overwhelms the movie, but I think it's the perfect combination. I think this was. I don't know if I bought the soundtrack or I made a copy off of my younger sister. Always would collect soundtracks, and I was very taken with the score of this. I remember listening to it by itself. Very much an engaging soundtrack that really pitch perfect for this movie. It really gives the kind of the dark whimsy of it. There's it's dark, but there's enough light touches to it that never gets over weighted down by itself. There's always that sort of charm that kind of dances through the whole thing that really makes it a uplifting. And then the movie really does a good job of riding the line of kind of melancholy and with comedy. When the comedy works, it works. When Edward is being driven through town, or the suburb, going to the Dianne Wiest, Peggy's home for the first time, and he's kind of taken over by the whole neighborhood and seeing everything, and he bumps his head on the window and just says, I think both Tim Burton and Carolyn Thompson kind of based the Edward Scissorhand character off of a dog she had, and he does have quite a bit of dog-like tendencies. With the loyalty, no restrictions, just complete blind loyalty that he has for the people around him, and trust of the people to be good, so that when he is betrayed, it's even that much more.
Well, you're seeing. You're right. I was going to comment on that. You're seeing it from Edward discovering the world, in this thing, and everything's new and not necessarily bad, not necessarily good either. Just experiencing these kind of things, and then you see it, and then all the way up to like where he's set up, and then you're starting to see that it's the world is about to destroy you, Edward, and it is a hell of a tonal shift when it happens, like gradually, obviously, but you kind of see these things, and you just kind of see people kind of just stop at they don't even bother rolling up to the curb to see anything. Whenever Edward is involved in anything, there at first people do kind of put in effort, and then after that, nope. It's just like he barely exists to even barely exists except to be the scapegoat, essentially. I mean,
he shows up, and he's sort of like the shiny new penny that you could show off to everybody. He's that novelty that shows up, and that everybody's kind of taken with, and like with all novelties, the shine eventually wears off, and he's just that creepy guy in the neighborhood,
right?
And then all the original hesitation you might have had about him come back and becomes even that more sinister, because it's like, why hasn't this thing that was novel last week, why hasn't this disappeared yet? And by the way, still hanging around.
Oh, by the way, those aren't tools on his hands; those are weapons. It's kind of like just like how it's crouched, over. But you can see this over time occur pretty quickly when it does, and it is heartbreaking. I mean,
and one of the standout performances I have to say is Dianne Wiest as the mom, Peggy. A lot of movies, especially this type of movie, the mom would be in the background. You wouldn't really see her, but she has a substantial role in this. I'd say even more so than Winona Ryder as Kim. Peg is so like the force. She kind of takes a step back towards the end of the movie. She's not really present anymore, but she really has a big influence on Edward's life there in the neighborhood, and she comes from a very loving place. She sees this guy that's hiding in the shadows in this mansion, and this derelict mansion, and she wants to do something good. She's that effervescent Avon lady that you can't get her down. Tim Burton said that he never heard from Avon, but he's kind of curious how they took the movie. But he's like, we were nice to Avon. I mean,
right?
There's this not bad portrayal of an Avon lady, and then she's sort of like the moral center of this world. She's she brought him into this world, and she's very, very protective of him. Maybe she should have stuck with him a little bit more towards the end there, but I think she does a really good job in this movie. And of course, Winona Ryder's playing against type. She's sort of the Beetlejuice. I think that's more her speed as far as her roles, so that she really had a. She said that she played the person that would have beat her up in high school in this movie. That the people that would have kicked her around in high school. She was doing those, so it really took her out of her comfort zone. But I think she did a wonderful job. There's this kind of hits close to our home, but when there's a scene where Edward is looking at the photographs of everything and of the whole family, and there's like this really big portrait, headshot of Kim and on the mantle, and during the commentary, Tim Burton said, "We're going for that Sears portrait studio vibe for that picture." He goes, "Yeah," and then at one point they talk Edward into breaking into the house of Kim's boyfriends, and there's a matching Sears portrait picture of him that he has to turn over because they're pretending it was someone else's house that they were breaking into to right a wrong. But yeah, he pointed out, there's the other Sears portrait studio picture, which there's definitely a vibe you're going there for. So yeah, a lot of stuff kind of obviously they weren't intentionally taking kind of that final snapshot of suburbia, but this really does kind of hits home with suburban. There's I don't know if there's still that the kids growing up today will really have it seems like a loss to time. There's not there's a different vibe. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, every era has its version of, I guess this era would be the internet mom. I don't know, or back you had, back in the 80s, or 90s really, Nick at Night would come on or whatever. You have, Donna Reed, that was when, and look how that changed compared to, the 80s compared to, somewhat similar, but still, you have working mom, the mom doing more than just being at home, it's being mom, and you have this, this community. Anyway, it's a little bit more modern than that, but it does change and it does reflect where it comes from. And you're right that the world is gone. But that's why it goes in and it grabs your heartstrings and it makes you feel for him, and you kind of get annoyed by some of the characters too, and that's a good sign when you're annoyed by them, because that means they're doing their job very well, which is acting. So I don't think there was a weak actor or scene really in this. I mean, for what it is like I said. It's just the most Tim Burton film that you can get, aside from Nightmare. And
Alan Arkin plays the dad. He does a wonderful job of trying to teach in his own way life lessons to Edward. He's trying to trying to apply everyday sensibility to this creature, this artificially made man. He's trying to tell him how he should go about getting a bank loan. There may be some things lost in translation.
Wow. Yeah.
And his version of lemonade's a little bit different than regular lemonade.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's Alan Arkin. He said that he was kind of baffled by the script, but when he got on set and saw what Burton was creating, he got it. That he understood it once he was on set and could see it. I think that was probably one of the barriers. I think a lot of people that turned it down just didn't understand what Tim Burton was going for. That it's very much a fairy tale. And in fact, there was the kid that plays the youngest in the family. He almost got played by another actor that Tim Burton was kind of fond of when he saw Uncle Buck. He almost had Macaulay Culkin, but Macaulay he went on to do at the same time. He couldn't do Edward Scissorhands because he was doing a little movie called Home Alone, another Christmas classic.
That's awesome.
But yeah. I'm kind of reading through the list of actors that were up for the role of various characters. It was interesting. Even the Winona Ryder character, it kind of went through the who's who of who was female. And same with the bully that played by was Anthony Michael Hall, who was sort of the nerd in Breakfast Club, but is the buffed up jock in this movie. It's kind of surprising whenever I think I was surprised when I saw him in this. It's like, oh wow, that is Anthony Michael Hall.
Right.
He made a transformation, sort of like how what was it, Arnold, the guy from Wonder Years? He sort of bulked up too. The main guy in that.
Fred Savage.
Yeah, Fred Savage.
Yeah, I think that's him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, I was gonna say too. Sorry, I was just looking at my notes here. Well, didn't Tom Hanks? Wasn't he considered, or didn't he want to play? Or wasn't he looked at for the Johnny Depp role?
I think
Johnny
so.
Depp actually won?
Well, yeah, and in fact, Johnny Depp was a little paranoid during the making of the movie, and in fact, he was sort of he kept wondering if he was doing what Tim Burton had wanted him to do, and he was they had little bungalows that they were staying in, and he said that there's these fans that would go around, and these two ladies were knocking on his door, and he opened it up, and they asked if this is Tom Hanks's room, and he was like, no, no. And he got paranoid that maybe that Tim Burton was dumping him and was getting Tom Hanks to play the role, that he did such a bad job that they were replacing him. But no, it was just his paranoia that happened. But no, Tim Burton was very happy with him, and obviously they continue to work together. So then they've kind of built sort of a sympathetic, sort of a copacetic building of the minds between them. But yeah, it's I know, yeah, that's but Tim Burton, he's one of those directors that kind of brings back people that he's worked with before, because with Winona Ryder, he's did Beetlejuice with her, and now she's in her big show Stranger Things.
That's right. I saw that in the I am totally behind the curve on who's playing what. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I saw that. I am not caught up on I know I'm totally missing out too, but don't kill me out there. Like I'm saving it for another binge watch. But I have no idea what's going on that show. But good for Winona Ryder for sticking around and being part of the new pop culture, the one that's gonna 20 years from now they're gonna be doing holographic YouTube's 10 seconds at a time by then. Who knows?
But yeah, this movie, I don't know. I got that sense of nostalgia with it. Just seeing that, and then there's a YouTube channel that I've been watching that does like creepy stuff, and he was doing a video on late night horrors of late night television with those infomercials and various things that you would run upon at the wee hours of the night. And I was like, yeah, that's sort of gone too. There's not that same kind of vibe of late night television, because now you just throw YouTube on, and there's not like a time specific thing like that anymore.
No, it's gone. The only that exists, but only on a super local level near you, and what 11:30 means to you on a Friday or weekend night or weekday night or whatever is completely different than so some things can kind of break through, gone are the days of everybody gathering around and being locked in. Well, it's just changing, that's just the nature of the thing. But this is a modern fairy tale. It perfectly is, that. So I guess I would say it is a Christmas movie. I mean, it's maybe it's not the happiest Christmas story, but
Yeah.
there's plenty of movies out there with Christmas in them that don't end very well either. But depending upon what you like, you're going to find something. If you are, say in our age or younger, 10, 15 years younger, you're going to find something, because it's so easily accessible too. And it's more true. Just the basic core values of the movie are true. How you laid it out very well. Dianne finds this new novelty and introduces him to the neighborhood, to the housewives, and the housewives aren't really appreciative of this unique thing. It's more like this exotic novelty that can do things for them.
Right. The one lady that's constantly seducing the plumber. She has a new toy to play with that doesn't. Right.
Another target. Another plaything for the cats.
Yeah. And Tim Burton did say that he's worked with various animals, horses, dogs. He said that dogs are oddly enough the best suited for show business. That they sort of get it, whereas a horse doesn't understand what's going on. A dog seems to get it, and they said that they were kind of worried that with Johnny Depp dressed the way he was, the Scissorhands and stuff, they had a fear that the dogs would pick up on that and be scared, but they're completely chill with him as Edward Scissorhands. They didn't freak out when he pretended to be cutting their hair.
Right. Yeah, this is an excellent movie. I don't know. I was trying to find through the message of conformity and how there is a very suburban. I will say this. I think that this one will, even though kind of the suburbs obviously are very stylized, unique, to very clearly paint them as being, this kind of over the top, real world, to paint these people even more horribly as you come to find out some of them are not very nice or very good people. That suburbia, that feel of it too, is there.
Yeah, and I think it came at a really interesting time, late 80s, early 90s, when we were examining our monsters, like Tim Burton, along with, say, Clive Barker. They were taking the motif of a monster and kind of putting it on its head, saying, okay, well, why is this a monster? Is it because he looks different? Why is he a monster and not the the housewives? Why aren't they the monsters? And it was along with a time where we were asking those questions, and it was fun. That you take these traditionally horror tropes that are well known, and then kind of placing them on their head. This takes all the horror. If you take some still images of this movie, you would think maybe it's a horror movie if you had no idea what it is. But he takes the motifs and the looks of a classic horror movie and makes it into a fairy tale. That's a kind of a bittersweet fairy tale that at the core, the heart of it is exploring the emotions of. Edward kind of goes through all the the phases of a child, becoming a teenager and a kind of coming to an adult, right. Kind of sensibility. He's just, at one point he kind of has his teenage rebellion where he's just breaking he's cutting the legs off of topiary and popping a wheel of a vehicle just because he's angry. He's going through, he's got all this pent-up rage that he just doesn't know what to do with. He's never had to kind of process that before, and he's kind of going through it. He's having a time. But yeah, but yeah, no, it's a very uniquely Tim Burton movie, and it kind of it works. Like I said, there's people that are confused by Tim Burton movies, like that they get obsessed with the details. How does Tim Burton or how does Edward Scissorhand goes to the bathroom? But who cares? You're telling you're trying to tell a different story. This is a uniquely a Tim Burton's world, and it's a nice place to visit. Maybe you don't want to stay there permanently, but
no. good to be a tourist, do touristy things, and then pop out. You might not make it out, or you might be Beetlejuice or something. I don't know. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who knows what clowns will show up, right?
Yeah. Speaking of clowns, yeah.
I've got a new one here. So, but the channel's mascot is and always will be good old Art the clown.
Good old Art. Yeah.
He's feeling a little lonely, and we were talking about that show last week. Haha, you clowns! And Art was like, "Hey, I need some buddies." So I went ahead and took the plunge.
Awesome.
Now the clowns outnumber me here, so I'm a little worried.
Well, I'll be a clown as well. So we're all clowns. Just depends on what wheel of or what part of the circle you are in the wheel of life. So it'll tread over you eventually, just like it did Edward. And the thing is, the moral of the story is, maybe leave that dark and haunted mansion up on the hill alone.
Maybe
stay away.
Yeah, maybe they don't need Avon products.
And that goes triply, if not quadruply, so if you are in a place called Transylvania, especially Christmas time too, which Nosferatu, I believe Christmas was going on in that one too. But
yeah, that was. Yeah, we visited that last year.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. But yeah, no, this has the vibe of Christmas throughout. Although it's not till the climax and the end of the movie that really kind of pulls together the Christmas vibe. And then it's sort of like obviously you get caught up in the look of Christmas, And Tim Burton does say that at Christmas time it was sort of a kind of a frantic time. He remembers growing up that it wasn't focused on what Christmas was about. It was more about putting up the decorations, and he said there's this kind of frantic energy with having family around and kind of maybe overcompensating and kind of dealing with. With guilt
right.
that may be floating around during that time, but yeah, no, it's a fun movie. Definitely one. You get the idea of snow, and even though there's not a whole lot of it in the movie, but there's that in there. But yeah, no. And I'll turn this out to our audience. What is your favorite Tim Burton movie? What's your go-to if you really want to watch something Tim Burton-esque? What do you pull off the shelf or pull up on your streaming service? I think not a whole lot of it. I think I think my go-to is probably going to be Edward Scissorhands. It maybe not his best movie, but I think it captures his vibe the best.
Yeah, I would say maybe between the Nightmare Before Christmas or this one, or probably the one I like more was Sleepy Hollow. Some didn't like it. That's my favorite Tim Burton kind of thing, and of course Batman too. Can't say that, but the non-popular thing, the kind of the unique Tim Burton thing. I think you can't go wrong if you pick any one of these Beetlejuice, but But the Beetlejuice is like a near and dear to my heart. But Sleepy Hollow would probably be a more Tim Burton kind of thing, I guess. But in any case, you're not going to go wrong with any of them because you're going to be very well entertained, and it could be an entry point for you to introduce it to your family, younger members of your family, if you want to share that nostalgia and say, "Hey, look at this." You want to be the old person in the room. Say, back in my day, we had telephones, and AOL online. There was a disc, and they were everywhere, free.
Our phones didn't have cameras in them. What the utter nonsense is that?
Right. All right, Grandpa, let's get you back to bed. We'll get you down for a nap.
Did you wet yourself again?
Yeah, depends.
Yep.
Anyway, all cracking jokes here as we all get older. But no, Edward Scissorhands is one to watch. Go check it out. If you haven't watched really any of Tim Burton's films in a really long time, that is that because we are fans. We have featured quite a few of his. Well, maybe not quite a few, but a few of his movies for sure.
Yep.
As we cover different things and topics.
Yeah, and I think he kind of had a lull there, but I think I really enjoy the show Wednesday. It's a kind of a fun show. I think he directed all of the first season. I don't think he quite directed everything in the second season, but
Gotcha.
but yeah, that's a fun show. Yeah, but yeah, he does have his stinkers, but I think there's arguments over what's his best, what's his worst. But yeah, I think if you like Tim Burton, one of them that you're gonna like is Edward Scissorhands.
gonna hit the spot when you want to watch it. But yeah, I think we're wrapping up here, rolling up to the caboose. Anything else you have? I think we did a pretty good job covering it, at least from our point of view.
Yep.
Anyway.
It's not unusual.
Right. Yeah. Well, and you say that, and you know what? In about 3 months, and I still have that damn song or a Tom Jones song rolling around in my head. I know where it came from. So.
Yep.
But not a bad problem to have, really. But in any case, I think we're gonna leave it here. And we highly recommend this to go see for a Christmas movie in December. Yep. Tim Burton can't go wrong.
It has everything, even John Davidson in it. So
yeah. And
as the TV talk show host.
Absolutely. I've been Mike.
And I'm Tom. And have yourself a merry little Christmas.